community. So we have inside the blocks, I think that what you've shown for the streets are magnificent, but I think we have some issues at the block and lot level that we're going to have it's hard to rectify and pull it together, or it's really fun to try to pull it together.
No, I think a point to that on the model you're looking at, because I've actually been able to find a number of deeds on that, some of them not recorded. There's one, for example, in the New York Historical Society of Dutch, which I just ran across quite recently and transcribed and translated. And then there are others on record. And these deeds give very exact boundary lengths to the inch and even fraction of an inch. And if you draw out the lines to scale, you can construct the shape of the lot approximately. And in this one case, at any rate, the lot did seem to be about the same shape as the lot was drawn on there. So that gave me confirmation, at least in that case, his drawing of the lot was reasonably accurate as confirmed by exact measurements from original contemporary deeds.
Understood. But the lot lines, where those lines were relative to 18th century.
Oh well, that's another case. The street layouts and the lot lines were constantly changing as the properties were sold and new owners came in and redrew them and renegotiated them. That's definitely.
Shall we change the subject?
Well, I think this runs to some of the overall issues that we're going to have to grapple with.
That's a big issue.
Yeah.
Because if what you're saying, Joel, is that a lot of this is conjectural.
I dabble in espionage, okay?
Yeah.
And one of the arguments that really upset my colleagues was that the Costello plan may not be as accurate as a later intelligence map, the Franklin Roof, that these guys published in '97 as part of a private collection. And it shows interior compound design that the buildings are parallel to the street, and interior compounds like a medieval 15th century European one. That was an intelligence map that the Dutch sat on for almost 200 years, 150 years, and they guarded it, and it's the only depiction of Manhattan that they trusted to the military guys. So I trust spies, and I don't know that we have the provenience information on the Costello plan necessary to make a cogent argument as to its historical validity. I think we could have some chronological issues, and the archaeological conflicts are difficult because we have so limited sample, but what we do have does not match.
Yeah, I think that spells some real trouble for the virtual plan, because you really get into, it starts to become conjectural, basically.
We should regard it as a challenge.
Well, again, I think if you start small, take that concept again. I mean, we're going back to a section. I think the section perhaps that the Strand area is the one where we have more information than other sections, and we'll have to start out with a relatively detailed search on maybe 10 houses.
But the Costello plan is not the only depiction of, not our only source. I mean, it'll take some puzzling, but you have the view, and now I think is it Augustine's yacht, the earliest view that Russell used on the front of his book. I mean, if you can combine different elements, you know that the fort is there. You've sort of figured out where the fort is, and if you can start to relate other buildings that are around to that, and then you can put in the Burgess view of 1718. So you can I don't think the Costello plan is probably a good starting point,
Yeah.
but it shouldn't be an end all of what we're doing. We should cross-reference it with other information that we have to make sure that it's, correct. We know that the street plan is probably correct or close to correct, but everything else we have to carefully judge before we put it in.
That's
We
what
have
doing
these.
research is about.
Yeah.
So I would say, yes, it is conjectural, but we can try and do the best conjectural image that we can come up with our combined knowledge. And of course, there are going to be situations where with all the knowledge we have, you know that you're really at the brink. You can't go any further. And then we'll have to make an informed guess. And say, well, it may not have been like this, it may not be like this, but it might possibly have been like this, 40% chance, something like that.
Yeah, you know what I like to say about my paintings? If somebody said, did it really look like this? I say, probably not. But I bet it felt like this. So we're really talking about texture, and I think that we can create a credible texture for this thing. It isn't going to, with maybe 20% accuracy if we're lucky, maybe. But I think we can get close to the texture of it, the feel of it.
Yeah, I'm afraid we can't even quantify.
Yeah, maybe we would never know, unless Joel has the house.
Well, we should just buy the tip of Manhattan, tear that on the buildings and start digging.
This is a larger issue that the government had to grapple with when they were funding public interpretive programs of archaeological sites, and the United Nations came to a policy determination: no more building walls up, no more projecting archaeological heights. We have a foundation, and so when they tried to do independence halls in Philadelphia, they came head on with this issue. So what they did is they made a framework of their projected structure with leaving the archaeological stuff, and you can do that digitally. What we know in one color scheme versus what our best guys and gals are projecting in another. And these guys can make it purple or green. So,
And then we have a very nice little phrase called "so far."
exactly.
That's the whole idea. It's updatable.